Thanks. Thank you, everyone. Apologies for my lateness. I normally drive at 6:30 in the morning, not 8:30 in the morning, so the traffic's a bit different. So it's my pleasure to welcome, on behalf of the Australasian Radiation Protection Society, it's my pleasure to welcome you to Australia, at Adelaide, Australia, and the 5th Symposium on the International System of Radiological Protection. We have over 400 people registered for the symposium, and so over the next 4 days we've got some amazing scientific presentations. ARPS, together with ARPANSA, are proud to jointly host this international meeting here in Adelaide. So I'd like to acknowledge the support and thank our major sponsor BHP, and so they've been really helpful, and we'll hear from BHP over the next few days. As well as BHP, we have many other companies who have supported the symposium, and the refreshment breaks today, during the refreshment breaks, you're obviously encouraged to visit their booths and have a chat to them. So we thank them for their support of the symposium. There are also poster presentations that will take place in the trade exhibition. So we have a large number of poster presentations, and obviously with the limited speaking spots, it was quite a difficult choice to offer oral presentations to the speakers. So please take your time to go through and have a look at the posters that everyone's prepared as well for the symposium. So I'd now like to ask Dr. Carl Magnus to join us on stage and welcome.
Well, first of all, many thanks to Jack, Vincent, for welcoming us to country, and I would like to start with respectfully acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. So the Australian Radiation Protection and Nuclear Safety Agency, ARPANSA, is proud to be the co-host of this 5th International Symposium on the System of Radiological Protection, jointly with the Australasian Radiation Protection Society, or ARPS, and the ARPS Forum. So on behalf of ARPANSA, I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to welcome you to Australia, to Adelaide, to discuss the updates of the system of radiological protection, to share ideas and discuss the challenges that we may face into the future. I would like to welcome the chair of ICRP, ICRP members, ARP members, and all other people attending, and some of you have traveled from very far away. So in preparing for the symposium and the ARPS Forum this week, I would like to acknowledge the contributions of the organizing committee, with members from ARPS, ARPANSA, and ICRP. It seemed like a long time coming, but we are actually now at the opening ceremony, so that's great. This work started with an agreement that was signed in August 2017 between the 3 organizations, and without the willingness and commitment from the people of all of these organizations to bring this symposium to Australia, and without the support from our sponsors, large and small, we would not be here now on the opening day. So the system of radiological protection in Australia rests firmly on the pillars and principles established by the ICRP, together with standards and guides developed by other international organizations and recommendations. And these pillars, they are implemented in legislation across Australia and in the various codes and guides that have been developed in collaboration between the Commonwealth of Australia, the states, 6 states, and the 2 territories. And these codes and guides are captured in Australia's National Directory for Radiation Protection, a framework that has benefited from international collaboration and that works towards achieving the vision of a seamless regulatory framework for the safe generation and use of radiation across all Australian jurisdictions. And that also provides for openness, transparency, and communication. So, ladies and gentlemen, Australia provides significant input to the efforts that are going on around the world to strengthen the international system for radiological protection. But it's even better to be able to bring the whole of the world to Australia, which we have done now. So I wish everyone a very productive and enjoyable symposium. As I said before, many of you have traveled from far away, and I hope that you have allowed yourself a little bit of time around the symposium to explore and enjoy all that this city, the region, and the country has to offer. I do remind you that the weather forecast looks like it's going to increase a little bit, the temperature. So we are probably going to hit the 40s on Wednesday. So be careful with the sun, be careful with the heat, and there's no better way of avoiding all that than staying here in the conference center. And just attend all the sessions. So please feel very welcome. And I wish you a very fruitful symposium and a very pleasant stay in Adelaide. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Carl Magnus. The next item on our agenda is a reflection on last year's, the 2017 ICRP conference. So can I invite, Jean-Christophe to the stage. Thank you.
Hi. Okay, so IRSN is a French public expert in nuclear and radiological risk. And our mission is to assess risk related to the use of ionizing radiation. We perform this mission through expertise and research. Expertise and research are feeding each other to reach a high level of nuclear safety and radio protection. We perform this mission in strong interaction with other organizations dealing with radiological or nuclear risk. The global engagement of ICRP states that our RCAP is actively involved worldwide, engaging with many organizations and individuals with an interest in radiological protection. So naturally, IRSN has a long-standing and fruitful relation with ICRP. Consequently, we committed ourselves to organize the fourth RCAP symposium in 2017, 2 years ago. And I would like to thank the organizer, ICRP, IRPS, and ARPENSA, for giving me the opportunity to draw some lessons from this 2017 symposium and to present some reflection on topics of importance for the future of radio protection. It's me who is changing the slides here. Is it with this? Okay, it works. So the first symposium was organized in Paris from the 10th of October to the 12th of October 2017. I can say it was a success from the scientific point of view, but also from the point of view of participation. There were 540 attendees from 44 countries, 96 presentations were given, 156 posters have been exposed, and 8 research educational booths were present. The fourth International Symposium on the System of Radiological Protection was the first to be held in conjunction with another major international event, which was the second European Radiological Protection Research Week. As such, the ICRP collaborated closely with 5 European radiation protection research platforms, so-called Alliance, dedicated to radioecology, Eurados, dedicated to dosimetry, Euramed, dedicated to medical application, Melody, dedicated to low risk, and NERIS, dedicated to emergency preparedness and response. On the slide, you can see a 6 platform share dedicated to social science. In 2017, it was not existing. It was created in 2019. So the 5th topical session of 2017 symposium addressed topics of the 5 ICRP committees and the 5 European research platform. At that time, in 2017, ICRP had 5 committees. Since then, one of the committees, the 5th, dedicated to environment, has been reassigned to other committees. So the outline mentioned on the slide, I won't detail it, correspond to 5 presentations which were given during the symposium. And from my point of view, they address most important topics for radio protection. Some of these topics are already addressed by RCRP task groups. So findings of the fourth ICRP symposium and the second European Radiation Protection Week serve to updating the European Platform Strategic Research Agenda, SRA, in radiation protection, and European SRA will serve to building up a European joint research roadmap in radiation protection. This roadmap will develop a long-term vision, decades, on the needs and implementation of activities related to the scope of the platform. The symposium highlighted shared priorities between ICRP and European platform for research and expertise in the field of radiation protection. I strongly believe that a science-based approach is key to robustness and to improvement to the radio protection system. As I already mentioned, in a science-based approach, research and expertise feed each other. Needs and expectations from expertise must be answered by research. The objectives is to get skills, data, tools, or methods that will be used to perform the expertise. On the other hand, research provides also new data that contributes to the improvement of expertise. The operational objective of research for radiological protection is to support the assessment of environmental and human health radiological risk, whatever the exposure situation, plan existing or emergency. It contributes to a robust radiological protection system. It must also help to put in perspective with other risks. This research is multidisciplinary. Several fields of knowledge and know-how are to be developed in order to keep expertise at the highest and up-to-date level. Advanced methods to characterize a radioactive source or site in terms of radiological inventory, list and quantity of radionuclides, physico-chemical forms, location of isotopes, etc. Another field of knowledge is about processes and models to simulate dispersion and transfer throughout the various components of ecosystem: air, soil, sediments, water, plant, animals. The objective is to study exposure pathways of human and non-human species. Another field of knowledge is about advanced dosimetry development in order to estimate robustly the radiological exposure of living organisms. This is crucial to understand the link between the absorbed dose and the biological response and the resulting risk for health. Last but not least, I have to mention radiobiology and radiotoxicology to improve our understanding of consequences on life of exposure to ionizing radiation, and epidemiology to look for causality of health risk, cancer or non-cancer, with exposure to ionizing radiation. Radiology, radiotoxicology, and epidemiology are complementary fields of research. Radio protection system is largely based on results from the epidemiological studies on Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the lifespan study, dose risk relation, linear non-threshold. These studies support a link between the exposure to a stressor, ionizing radiation, and the probability of occurrence of a pathology, mainly cancer. The next step is to develop approaches that would reconcile epidemiological studies and biology, that is to describe and model the biological mechanism from molecular level to organism level that lead to apparition of pathology. Looking at what is done in our field, for example, chemical toxicology, adverse outcome pathway, AOP, approach is a promising concept to do so. With a broader perspective, combining the exposome approach, the approach that considers full stressor cocktail exposure from conception to death. So combining this exposome approach and AOP approach will help to progress in the understanding of health consequences of multi-stressor exposure. Finally, as the ICRP symposium will focus on 3M, mind, medicine, and Mars, let me briefly provide you an overview of past and present IRSN activities in this domain. All uranium mines are closed in France since 1999. Since 30 years, IRSN follows up cohorts of French uranium miners for epidemiologic purposes. Moreover, regarding environmental exposures, issues associated to this old industrial site remain, like radon or uranium in water. IRSN is managing an open base of almost 300 uranium sites in coal France Mimosa. The environmental impact assessment of former uranium mine has been performed with stakeholders. Expertise and knowledge developed in mines has been transferred to develop radiological protection against radon. It covers public and workers' exposure and protection and their assessment. It also concerns dosimetry of radon gas and radon decay products, and IRSN is contributing to ICRP publication on radon. In the domain of medical exposure, IRSN is periodically evaluating the exposure of the French population resulting from medical diagnosis and imaging. The associated database called EXPRI is public. We provide diagnostic reference level for medical purposes, and we also perform research on biological and health effects of diagnosis and therapeutic procedures and treatment. Let's give some example of this research. Epidemiological studies regarding child having CT scans or patient exposed to interventional cardiology, understanding of the secondary effects of radiotherapy on skin tissues, and definitions of treatment following severe accidental exposure from dosimetry of the accident to injection of stem cells. IRSN is involved in cosmic radiation dosimetry, both for space and aviation exposure. The initial experience accumulated in space dosimetry has been transferred to aviations. For example, we developed a so-called Sievert PN system dedicated to the monitoring of aircrew exposure, which is the most exposed population of workers. At the present time, we are modeling the doses due to flare to solar flare with the Astronomical Observatory of Paris. With the French Space Agency CNES, research programs are ongoing on the biological effectiveness of specific radiation exposure situations pertinent for safe trip. Let's come to my conclusion. It's very simple. The robustness of radio protection system is and must be based on a science approach, on a science-based approach, open to stakeholders. And in that, ICRP is key and central to this. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for that overview of ICRP 2017 and the nice segue into this conference with Mind Medical and Mars. The next item on our agenda is Dr. Claire Cousins. Can I ask you to come forward and give us a welcome from the ICRP, and then I'll give you your cue. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I think first and foremost, I have to say, perhaps sometimes it's a relief being female. I have been asked to do things that have put me well outside my comfort zone as the ICRP chair, but I'm sincerely hoping that playing the didgeridoo will not now be one of them. On behalf of ICRP, I would very much like to welcome you all to Adelaide and to this 5th ICRP Symposium on Radiological Protection. It's actually very exciting to be able to hold a symposium in Australasia, a part of the world that ICRP has seldom, I think in fact it's probably once, visited in its 90-year history. We all know time flies. I must say it certainly does not seem 2 years since Jean-Christophe and I were on the same podium at the symposium in France. And in fact, it's 10 years since Chris Clement and I first discussed the idea of holding an ICRP symposium. And actually for ICRP, that was a huge step at the time. We'd never done anything at all like it before. There was a huge logistical effort that had to go into the first symposium that, as you know, was held in Bethesda in USA in 2011. We've had a lot to learn from the experience over the years and the subsequent symposia, and the organisational process has had to evolve because of this. This year, the ICRP Symposium has a rather different format. For the first time, we have the 3 theme days. As you now all know, it's Minds, Medicine and Mars, all topical areas related to radiological protection. You will still hear about the work of ICRP, but there will not be formal oral presentations from the committee chairs. except for the ICRP members who will be in the plenary later on today. But instead we have poster presentations on the work of ICRP through the main commission, the secretariat, the committees and our task groups. And that has allowed us then, as I say, to have focus topics on the themes instead. Of course, I would very much like to thank all those involved in making this event happen, particularly our hosts, ARPS and our Panzer, as well as the local organising committee and the professional conference organisers. I have to be extremely grateful for the generous support of our sponsors, without whom the symposium quite simply would not be possible. ICRP cannot afford to hold one of these events on our own. I have to be indebted to the ICRP Secretariat team for their tireless effort in actually working with the administrative aspects of this symposium, but also the fact that ICRP, this is working time as well. We've already had the main commission meeting and committee meetings are going to follow. So I'm very grateful. And I'm also very grateful to all of you who've made the effort to come to Australia to join us and to be part of this symposium. We have a very varied and interesting programme over the next few days with excellent speakers. I hope you enjoy the presentations and the discussions that will ensue, and you take the opportunity to be able to converse with radiological protection experts from around the world. I'm delighted to see that there are a lot of young people in the audience as well, so I hope that we can actually learn from you and you can certainly learn from us. The aim of the symposium is, of course, to inform on the activities of ICRP, to share ideas and promote stimulating discussion, and of course to have a good time too. I've no doubt that the symposium will deliver its aim, and I think much more besides. Thank you.